Hello, hello, long time no see. It is indeed April 1st, and I don't know when this video is going to go up because it's going to be kind of a long one in terms of the amount of time it's going to take to film. A whole saga of things have happened since I last talked to you, including computer problems and camera problems and, you know, normal teaching and cultural adjustment and language learning. And anyway, I kind of had to take a step back because it was stressful, and I know that I had barely taken a step forward, but that's okay. I'm very red. It's very hot outside. I just changed into my t-shirt. I needed to take a step back because everything was just too stressful. It was too much for my mental health. And so I've kind of gotten to the point where reading is going to be really good for my mental health, but I can't get myself to do it. So I'm hoping that this will help me. I have another idea of how to help me. Okay, so first of all, excuse the disaster that is my bedroom. I haven't made my bed today, so you know, it's fine. So I just went out to like an office supply store here in Albania. Craft supplies are super limited here, and you just kind of get what you can take, but I managed to find a couple things. So I have this poster board. It's actually pretty big. I have these metallic Pitt Artist Pen Faber-Castell. This is a brand that I use a lot in the States. I also got a big eraser for big project. I needed one of these because I have some colored pencils as well. And then this set of Pitt markers. Hello, you can see me. Anyway, it's very like earthy toned kind of colors. I also have a couple other things that I either brought from the States or kind of bought at the beginning of the year. I have a set of Van Gogh. Here, I'll try to, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but a set of Van Gogh watercolors, which I will be using. I also have various sets of colored pencils, including watercolor pencils. And you may be wondering, Lauren, what does this have to do with reading? What does this have to do with your mental health? I'll tell you. So I finally have kind of gotten back into BookTube. And one of my favorite things in BookTube is the TBR games, right? Because they're so fun and it really pushes you to read outside of your comfort zone and also read diversely. Because if you just pick the books that you are most inclined to read initially, you're going to get a very kind of same list of books, right, that you've read, which isn't always a bad thing. But like you guys know, if you have seen my first video or my second video, which I think there's only two, you will know that one of the things that I really want to do is learn and hear from all of the people who are different than me and the kinds of stories that they tell. So I'm going to be making my own TBR game. And this video is going to be a filming of the process of making it. It's going to take a while. I bought a pretty big poster board because I really want to be able to like make it big. So I'm going to be basing it off of Ticket to Ride, which is one of my favorite games. But instead of it being a map of like the United States or Europe, I'm going to be doing kind of my own world map, but with locations from some of my favorite books. So it's going to be fantasy themed, mainly fantasy themed, because that's mainly what I read and love the most. That's why I got some of the earthy natural tones, because I love that aesthetic, like Enchanted Forest kind of. Anyway. I will explain more of the rules that I'm thinking kind of as I design and as I, you know, finish things and come up with prompts, but I just thought I would take you guys along for the ride and we'll see how long this takes me. Hey guys, so I just wanted to give you a little update on my TBR game project, my Ticket to TBR. I have officially finished the prompts, so basically, here, I'll show you. So what I did was I printed out a bunch of prompts this size with Open Dyslexic font, which is my favorite. If you have dyslexia or if you know someone who has dyslexia, download the Open Dyslexic font. It is amazing. So I printed them out, right? And then you may notice that there are lines underneath them. That's because the paper itself, like the printer paper, is super flimsy. So I took 2 3x5 note cards, because these are also pretty flimsy, glued them together, and then put 5 down on a row, cut them out, voila. So I'm putting them in this like fig jar. And the goal of the prompts is to promote diverse reading, to promote me getting out of my comfort zone. So there's some prompts here that are like going to be really easy, and some that'll be a little bit harder. Whoa. So like this one, read a book by a Muslim author, or read a book by an LGBTQ+ author. That terrified me. Okay, hold on. Okay, real quick before my camera dies, I want to show you why the doorbell just rang. Our friend Anna, who is an amazing cook, she just brought over fresh English muffins. They look delicious and I'm so excited to eat them. So I'm gonna have some now, and then I'm going to work on my poster while I charge my camera battery because it's about to die. Hey guys, so I just wanted to give you a little update on my ticket to TBR board. So as you can see, I've watercolored the water using some watercolor pencils, and then I've colored in the different train tracks. So each color represents a different genre. So as you can see, I have, this is All Ranger's Apprentice by John Flanagan. Just like various different places that I love. This is the Archipelago of Dreams, which is from Here There Be Dragons by James A. Owen, which I really like. We have a couple places from the Stormlight Archives, some of my favorite places from Tamora Pierce's books in Tortall, and just like a wide variety of other places. So I have Aragon, I have the books of Pelennor, I have Inkheart, The Shadow of What Was Lost, I have Keeper of the Lost Cities is on here, what is the wondrous Morgan Crow? What is her series called? Anyway, so there are a variety of great places. This is my well, mine is Tildor, but this is kind of the Camelot and Sherwood Forest are like historical places. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this has turned out so far. I have the prompts, and now I just need to make the train cars and the destination cards. So we'll keep you guys updated. Hey guys, so I am finally bringing to you the very end of this video and the beginning of my first round of my new TBR game. So as you guys have seen this process of designing the board and all of that stuff, at this point I can't remember like what I've gotten on camera and what I haven't, but I'm mostly done with the game. The only thing that I haven't done is make the little train cars, because I am going to be making them out of polymer clay, and that is not something that I can get here in Albania, at least in the kind and colors that I want. There is a place a little ways away, still in the city, but like a pretty decent and fairly dangerous bike ride away, and I just haven't had time to go over there, so I'm just gonna wait till I get back to the States. But I figured, why wait to start playing my game when, you know, I just need the pieces, it'll be fine. So I went ahead and pulled a route card and pulled a couple prompts. So I'm gonna walk you through that and then just kind of explain the game. So before I do that, I want to talk about a couple of the rules. So basically how this is gonna work. So as I have mentioned earlier, there is a different color for each genre. So this blue color is fantasy and sci-fi. So this could be high fantasy, low fantasy, basically anything where there are fantasy elements that are kind of an important part of the story. It can be contemporary, set in a totally fictional world. There's a lot of room for interpretation in these genres. And then this purple is historical fiction. I am a historian and I don't read a lot of historical fiction. I do enjoy historical fiction, but I don't love like World War II historical fiction, and that's a lot of what it is. So I'm trying to push myself out of my comfort zone, read a little bit more historical fiction, hopefully a lot more like, own voices historical fiction, or historical fiction of various minority groups or other countries that I'm not familiar with. And then this kind of like brick red color is contemporary. You'll notice that a lot of the contemporary routes are short. There aren't a ton of long contemporary routes. There are a couple here and there. But part of the reason this is because I'm not a huge contemporary reader, though like fantasy, there is a little bit of wiggle room. So it can be a contemporary book. It can still have mystery elements in it or fantasy elements in it or sci-fi elements, but predominantly contemporary. And then this green color is mystery. It's pretty self-explanatory. I really want to read more mysteries. I love cozy mysteries especially, and I just don't read enough of them, so I thought I would try and read some more. Then there's this kind of yellowish mustardy tan color. Not even really sure what color it is. And this is for nonfiction. I wanted to make sure to incorporate nonfiction as well as fiction in my game to really force me not out of my comfort zone, but to widen my horizons a little bit more. And then lastly, all of these silver spaces are free spaces. So they can be any genre I want. The only catch is that if I start a silver segment with fantasy, I must finish it with fantasy or science fiction. If I start it with mystery, I have to finish it with mystery. So I can only choose one genre, but I get to choose what genre that will be in the moment. Okay, and then I have these prompts. So you guys have seen these. I spent forever printing them and cutting them and oh shoot. I just remembered I forgot to print something for Sunday. That's not good. Okay, it's okay, it's okay. I'm going to send it to Zach and see if he can print it. Because I am not going to be here on Sunday. Okay, that's fun. I just remembered that. Okay, anyway, back to... So, I have these prompts, and there's a pretty wide variety of prompts, and they should fit most of the genres. There might be a couple that are genre specific. For example, this is a fantasy inspired by non-Western culture. If I get this and it is not fantasy, I can either put it back and draw another card or just substitute it for, you know, a mystery set in a non-Western culture, a historical fiction set in a non-Western culture. There are more general ones where it's like, read a book set in Asia, so I kind of get more specific. Then there are books, prompts, excuse me, like read a book outside of your comfort zone. That's a fun one. There are some chance ones, so lowest rated on your TBR, where I don't get to choose, but it's based off of the story graph, my TBR on Storygraph. Read a book with a character that likes something or does something that you don't do or like. I thought that this was a good opportunity to try to pick characters who were different than I was in really significant ways that aren't racial or religious or gender. So there's that. There are some like cover related ones. So read a book with clouds on the cover. Another, read a book you saw someone reading. Read a book featuring music or dance. There's lots of really great fun prompts here that I'm actually super excited about. So when I decided to start playing the game and just go ahead and start round 1, I actually didn't have time to film. And that's partly why I kind of waited so long, because I was waiting until I had time to film, but I realized that I really just needed to get going so that I could put this board to use, especially because I'm going back home to the States, and so I wanted to kind of get my route, my summer route down before I leave so that I can, you know, have the prompts. I might bring prompts with me. I'm not really sure how that's gonna work yet. So the route card that I chose was the University of Carthage to the Wayless Woods. This is considered a medium route. So I have 3 different lengths of routes that are possible. There is a small route or a short route, a medium route, and a long route. I don't necessarily get to decide like, oh, I want to do a short route or I want to do a long route, because this is not a game that I'm going to play every month. It's just a game that I'm going to play as I read books, because I really need as much flexibility as possible. That also means that punishments are really hard, and I know that punishments are not super helpful for me, so why do them? Why do punishments when it's not going to motivate me to read? It's just going to motivate me to not actually play the game that I'm actually really excited about. So I just have rewards, and I have rewards based off of the length of the route. So if the route that I take is short, I can choose one of my short rewards. If it's long, I can choose one of my long rewards. So the short route rewards, that's a tongue twister, are smaller things, and then the long route are bigger things. Some of them are related to books, so some of them are like, buy a book, right? Pretty simple. Buy a book that you have read. So I have been reading a lot of books recently on my Kindle because of the limited supply of books here in Albania, and the fact that Book Depository doesn't ship to me. I think Waterstones does, but even if it did, I would be really hesitant to buy books and have them shipped to me because the Albanian postal system is pretty unreliable. So I've been getting a lot of ebooks, and one of my rewards is to buy a book that I've already read that I don't own physically, so that I can add it to my physical collection even though I've already read it. But then there are things that are not bookish related that are related to self-care. Part of the intention of this TBR game is to help me read more because it'll be really good for my mental health. I incorporated those into my rewards. So some of them include buy a candle, and then, you know, then I can light it while I'm reading. Some of them include like go out and buy yourself an ice cream cone or have a spa night, or there's a variety of things that I have included in my rewards just to help promote this habit of self-care. In addition to just making it kind of fun, you know? So those are mainly the rules, and you saw what prompt I got. So the first kind of segment of the journey, so the segment between the gold dots, between locations, is fantasy, and it is 4 long. So I went ahead and I pulled all 4 prompts for that segment, and then that way I can write them down in my notebook. I have this little like Paris notebook, says bonjour, has a little kitty on a bike with a baguette. Yeah, it's just very cute. One of my best friends in the States got me this before I left for Albania. But I'll write it down and I can keep track of all the books that I'm reading. So the prompts that I got for the 4 fantasy were read a standalone read a book featuring food, read a book in one sitting, and read a book that sounds odd. So those are the 4 prompts that I chose, that I picked randomly. The one that I'm starting on is to read a standalone, so I am currently reading The Sword of Kagan by M.L. Wang. So this is a story, this is actually a really interesting fantasy story that I have been seeing around a lot and was really curious about but didn't know much about, except that it is inspired by a mix of African and Japanese culture and history, which I thought was a really interesting combination that actually makes a lot of sense. It is really interesting. One thing that has taken me by surprise a little bit with this book is that it has this really interesting mix of modern and tradition. So when you are reading it, or when I'm reading it, I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but when I'm reading it, sometimes I get pulled out of the story when a more modern element comes in. So there's magic. Each kind of group of people has different magical powers that are, from as far as I can tell, mostly based on elements. 99% of the time, it feels very like classical fantasy, but then they'll like, oh, the news station, like, oh, now they're watching TV, like, oh, now they have this like cellular device that's like a cellular communication device, and it just is a very, not weird combination, because I really like the idea of merging those two together and like exploring the intersection of modern technology and modern society with traditions and cultures that really value tradition. But the way that it's done a lot of times pulls me out of the story. It's getting a little bit better now that I'm about halfway through, a little less than halfway through, and I'm really enjoying it. But that is a little strange, to be perfectly honest. So yes, that is all the update I have for you. I've not chosen the books for the other 3 prompts, but hopefully I'll be doing some reading vlogs this summer that I can give you the update as I go along. So thank you so much for watching this video. It isn't super long, but took me over a month to film over the course of, you know, many different days and much time. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and send a like, and I will talk to you later.